talking to the Fit magazine people, and we were talking about flip-flops, socks with sandals. And I was like, no.
Oh, I haven't.
But socks are okay with slides.
Oh, well, okay.
But then there was confusion on what a sandal is. To me, a sandal and a flip-flop's the same. But according to Jarrell, a flip-flop's a flip-flop. A sandal is like a Birkenstock thing.
Well, I mean, I wear Nike slides with socks and have since I was in high school.
I wear Lululemon size.
And then when I wear flip-flops, I do not wear socks.
Actually, they're not that bad. Lululemon slides are like $50. Yeah. I got some Nike ones.
Yeah, the old take off the cleats and then put the slides on. Or the old take off the boxing boots and put the slides on. It's just the best.
The thing is with the socks, things get like caught on the socks. So if you got like pets, right, then you got like hairy socks.
Mine doesn't shed.
Mine does because I got a fucking German Shepherd.
Whoopsies. A little vibration.
I got a long-haired German Shepherd, so she sheds.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about that.
And then we were talking about, I was like, dude, short shorts and flip-flops. And this Savannah, she was like, oh, yeah, like if a guy works out legs.
Yeah.
Like a 4 or 5 inch inseam. And I was like, no, guys, 2.5 inch
2.5.
They're like, what? Like, where do you get these? I'm like, dude, that's Sophie,
so
baby.
Funny.
They're like, what if something falls out? I'm like, there's a liner in it. Keeps everything secure.
Nice and tucked in.
Yeah. But I'm just like.
Necessary.
I got the thighs out full force.
Yep. I do like I got some, even though I haven't been working out. By the way, I went to the gym 2 days in a row this week, which is nothing, but I got back in.
It's something. It's something. It's a lot more than a lot of people do.
Well, I'm trying to start with that, like with habit formation, right? It's like I read a book called Atomic Habits, and then the other day I have this app that like summarizes books for you called Headway, and it suggested a book called Tiny Habits, and I think something's going on there. Somebody copied off of somebody, but a lot of the themes are similar in a good way. Like they're really good. And like one of them in the Atomic Habits book, that he talks about like with the gym, for example, he's like, just go in the gym and just sit there for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Like in the beginning, just go in the room and just sit down. You don't even have to do anything.
Yep.
And I'm like, from like when it comes to that, like I've told you before, like I'm facing like the biggest uphill physical climb that I've ever had. You know,
as far as like training goes.
Yeah, like I haven't been in a good training routine in probably 1.5 to 2 years, and which is terrible in general. But I've worked out and trained my entire life, and so it's kind of like an uphill battle that I've never really had to face before, and that's part of the reason why it's been a little bit intimidating. So I'm basically starting from scratch, and it's like my point is that day, the last couple of days, whenever I've gone in there, it's like I haven't really done like to my old, like I would go in there before and just crush it. I mean, I'd worked out really hard, really intense, and that kind of thing. And now I'm like doing fucking incline walking for 20 minutes for cardio. It's like kind of sucks, but it is.
No, it's
you got to start somewhere.
It's good stuff. I want to talk on that for a second.
I'm the least photogenic person you'll ever meet.
No, that's actually really handsome. Let's see. Host's story.
Host only.
Episode.
Maybe. If we ever record. This is a good idea to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, though.
I agree. Man. I think it's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I just got to post this on the... Man, I hope this ain't...
On the old IG. By the way, while we're waiting on that, I will say to everybody listening, thanks for all the love lately. We've got a lot of love on the podcast, a lot of great comments, a lot of great guests, obviously, that lead to great feedback. But definitely can see the momentum building, and it's pretty exciting. We've had some awesome people come on recently, and by the time that you're hearing this, I guess Zach's episode is out, which is awesome. Green Beret, and then after that we had Gage Spees, which would have been last week's episode if you're listening to this on the regular platform. And if you're listening to it on Patreon, then you got a couple good episodes coming up to listen to.
Yeah, we do got a lot of good stuff coming.
And then Sean's episode just went out a couple days ago. If you guys haven't seen that one, definitely do that. That was awesome, and her reaction to it was awesome. So
bones away.
Appreciate you guys. All right, well, send it. I guess. I mean, a lot of this will be included, but go ahead.
Okay. What is up, everybody? This is Joe Adams, and welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast. Today, It's just Logan and I.
Yeah.
So
you thought he was going to say as always.
As always,
But,
I was getting there.
It is as always, but it's...
We got my man, Logan Hyder of Cinema 83 LLC in the house doing things. Good job, good job.
And we have...
Myself.
Joe Adams in the building. Well, I'm coming back to it, baby. Don't worry about it now. Come on now.
It's refreshing.
Come on now. You want to hit him with the 2 beat?
Oh, it's like with my sweet cream cold brew.
And then he did a little 3-piece
So
for
tasty.
what's up, everybody?
So good, man. I love my coffee.
Yeah,
You know, people act like Starbucks is like the Illuminati or
Bro,
something.
Starbucks is actually we went to go see Oppenheimer in the middle of the night when it came out a couple weeks ago, and we went to Dutch Bros on the way out there. We'd never been, and it was good. It's fine. It's cheaper, that's for sure. But then like the next day, we got basically the same thing at Starbucks. And I'm like, honestly, it's a lot better.
Now I will say vanilla sweet cream cold brew. It's my favorite one. It's more, it's because it's a splash of something. But
I got a
Project Donuts.
ice blonde.
What's
vanilla
up, Project
latte.
Donuts? They have a really good vanilla sweet cream cold brew.
Oh.
But also Lydia gets the iced caramel macchiato. It's a good one, and I like they got a brown sugar oat milk.
I think Margaret gets something like that too.
That one's pretty good. So whatever. I like the fucking flavors.
She switches it up a lot more than I do. I didn't even like coffee for the longest time. Like my dad's a coffee fiend. He drinks fucking 6 cups of coffee in the morning every morning. Like he's the kind of guy like he'll sit around for like an hour, 2 hours before he gets ready. Like he's just sitting around drinking coffee, doing his thing.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah,
One day I'll get to do that.
Well, it's interesting. Like I didn't like growing up. I was like, I don't really want to be like that. Like he can't like do anything. Like he gets home, he's like, he's got to have coffee, bro. Like he's got to. And I don't like have to have it. But I do have either that or an energy drink or whatever.
I have to have stimulants.
Yeah, I do too. You already know. But now I'm at the point where I actually kind of have a taste for it. Margaret's kind of got me a taste for it, like a couple of them in particular. Like I still don't like hot coffee at all, but I do like the iced coffees.
I like some hot coffee. It's it's a seasonal thing though. I'm not going to drink hot coffee this time of the fucking year when I walk outside and my glasses fog up or whatever, and like. It's insane. If I see someone out there drinking hot, if there's steam coming off your cup, you're a terrible person.
You're a piece of shit. Like you just suck.
Yeah.
You're just a bad person.
Yeah, you're a really bad person.
If you drink hot coffee when it's hot outside, just turn this episode off.
No, I firmly believe in that. Just kidding.
Just kidding. We want you all come back.
No, but so what we're doing today is this is a host only episode. So this is probably going to be like, let me see.
It's 56, I think.
No, because 54.
55.
55, 56, and then we got
57.
Rachel. So this would be episode 57.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is going to be episode 57, and we've had the podcast going for over a year now. Episode every week for over a year, which is pretty cool. A lot of consistency there. We talked about it before. The statistics to get to that level of episodes being out is pretty fucking slim.
That video that I sent you.
Yeah. So Logan sent me a video, and they said out of 100% out of every podcast in history, only 10% go past episode 2 or 3, and then only 10% of that number go past episode like 23 or something. So we've over doubled. Doubled that.
And that's purely because people do the first couple and they feel like it sucks and they stop.
Yeah, or they just like realize what goes into it.
Or that.
There's a lot
or both. They're like, I put a ton of work into this and it still kind of came out not great and didn't get a lot of feedback and then they give up.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, if you have a vision, fucking believe in it and fulfill 100%. It. Like nothing's going to just start off guns blazing.
Yeah.
I trust me. I expected that here with headquarters, you know, and I've been in the headquarters for just a year now. Like the grand opening was basically exactly a year ago.
Yeah,
and like I thought it was gonna have some traction. I was gonna have all these trainers. Reality slapped me in the fucking face.
Yeah.
So,
but you've also accomplished a lot in the first year, I would think. But
I mean,
it requires patience,
No, a lot's happened. I mean, that's the thing. There's been a lot of growth. I just. It's hard to see, but did that first little bit of time, it was just me, and we were recording. I had like 2 clients and every bit of money in my savings was just flooding into this. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go broke.
Yeah. Well, it's like we've said before though, and I think it happened, I think call it whatever you want to call it, but I think that it happened for a reason. It was supposed to happen. We were guided to do this because, it's like, we both basically said, like, look, if you laid out, like, what the last year has kind of entailed, like, work-wise, financially, that kind of thing, we may have been like, I don't know if this is a good time.
Yeah. Maybe
we're not going to do it right now. But, like, we didn't really care. We just, like, charged ahead anyway. And now it's like, I'm glad that we did, regardless of like the stress that it's put anybody, both of us in particular, you and I under. It still is like, I'm so glad that we started it, because if you look at those things, right, you never will start. And like, that's kind of the people that do an episode or two, is like, they get so caught up in those things. Like, no, like you said, you have to have the bigger vision. I think that really is, like, you say that a lot, and I've thought about it more recently. I think that really is a big thing, vision, you know.
Vision's the thing.
You have to be able to see episode 25 when you're on episode 2.
Well, you know, I brought on a trainer, and, you know, she said to me the other day, she said, I see where RP's going, and I want to be a part of it. And I was like, fuck yeah. It's
Exactly.
like, that's all, you're hired.
Yep.
You're here.
Yep.
You know, but no, that meant a lot, and it was really cool. You know, she sees that vision. You do, Jesse, Aaron, you know, everybody here does. That's a part of it. We don't need no fucking massive team, right? We got a strong team. So that's the thing. So
with that being said, what we would normally do with people is you've talked about, we just kind of went into Relentless Pursuit a little bit the last year, just a little bit, but a lot of people listening know that part of it a little bit. Obviously, you have the brand, and we'll get to why the logo, why the name, all that stuff. 'Cause that's what we're here for. But like we would normally do,
we start
I think
from the
people
beginning.
kind of know your elevator stuff already, but
Yeah.
you're Joe and you do this. And obviously if they're here, then they kind of know that part of it.
Well, because when I get, you know, we got like people that come on that have never heard of this, right? So they hear, you know, maybe their friend's episode or somebody they know, and then they subscribe and they start there. But they don't know where this was rooted, right? And so it's
one thing real quick about that I think is really interesting is that people come on, like, it's fascinating to me the amount of people that, like, when they get here, like Sean and like some of these other people that like don't even know your story. Like when they come in, I almost assume it's because they like, oh, I know your story. Like, yeah, I want to be on the. It's like they just love the podcast. They don't even realize, like, half the time what your thing is, and you start talking, and you can see they're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So it's
pretty cool.
Probably a pretty good time. So
yeah.
So Joseph.
So this is the host story episode. So this episode will be getting to know the hosts, round whatever. So I'm gonna tell my story, and then we're gonna switch over to Logan, so you can get to know us.
So Joseph, where did you grow up?
So I grew up I was born in Tampa Bay, Florida.
That's right. If you guys remember Jake from a couple months ago, Jake Furnish, he's a great episode as well. And they talked about how Joe was. They were born in the same fucking.
We're born in the same hospital.
Same fucking hospital.
Now he's my brother. So weird. Very proud.
So born in Tampa.
Born in Tampa. You know, my sister was also born in Florida, but I was young, so I don't remember a whole lot of that. But then we moved to Georgia. My mom's family's from Georgia. Spent a lot of time moving around Georgia in my younger years. You know.
Why did you move around so much?
My dad was so he's always been in the trucking business on the executive side of things. And so just different companies or whatever, different positions. And we lived in Georgia most of my childhood. And then we moved outside of Houston, Texas for like a couple years at one point when I was in like fucking second, third grade, and then moved back to Georgia.
And this is all because of your dad getting new positions or that kind of thing?
So more like North Georgia. And so I was there. We were there for a while. This area called Flowery Branch. And that's where like the Atlanta Falcons training camp is. So they were there. Their fucking training camp was right across from the high school.
Hell yeah.
Which is pretty cool because we got
cool.
a bunch of like NFL equipment and shit.
Yeah.
They like donate stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the gym at the high school I was going to was when Falcons had the old logo, like they got the new logo or whatever.
Yeah.
So they gave us all the equipment with that that old logo on it. So
did you guys were you Falcons?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. So we were the Flower Branch Falcons, yeah.
Hell yeah.
And,
That's so dope.
Like our locker room was like shit from them. Like so, it was decked out.
I said decked out.
It was crazy. Yeah, decked out. Yeah, so it was pretty cool, you know.
So you were in high school.
So no, I went through some elementary there, and then middle school and high school. You know, I was bullied quite a bit. That's for sure. You know, I mean, moving around and like being the new guy all the time, like people just fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like I lived in Texas, and I was like. Moved back to Georgia, and we're playing Foursquare. You know, remember Foursquare?
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I'm not even like a Texan.
Yeah.
And this girl's like hitting the ball like ridiculous. She's like, just how y'all play Foursquare in Texas. And I'm like, what?
I lived there for 2 years.
I'm not even, what? I was like, fucking.
That's crazy.
Stupid ass.
But when you were, you said you did do some high school in Georgia? I thought you did all your high school.
So I did it my freshman year in Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, so went through
up
there.
To that point, you were bullied a lot?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even then, my freshman year, a little bit. Dude, I had my growth spurt like after my freshman year. So, And it's not like I got fucked with, but I mean, I got my ass beat for this dude trying to throw me in a puddle, and I busted his fucking nose open. And of course, he didn't like that. But I didn't like curl up in a ball. My mom always told me, "Hey, if someone touches you, you
hit him back.
Just knock the shit out of them."
Yeah.
So yeah, but I always did sports. Football, baseball, the basketballs. I tried soccer, wrestling, everything.
Even while you were moving around,
gymnastics, yeah, all of it.
So would you like move to a new place and just find places to do sports?
Yeah. I mean, I always would play football. That was always the thing. I did track. I was a thrower and all that. So my parents had me involved with like every type of sport. Football is the one that I carried out the longest. And then so after my dad got hired for this company, like to be their VP in North Carolina, and small town dude. So we went from this like really big school to Pilot Mountain, North Carolina. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Andy Griffith show.
Yeah.
But that's the town. Mayberry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was like right there.
Oh, like Mayberry. You actually were in Mayberry.
Yeah, like
that's fucking cool.
In the show, they're like going over to Mountain Pilot. Like I lived in Pilot Mountain. Like that was the town. Yeah. So I went from.
Oh, you may be about to say that. Go ahead.
So I went from a big school in Georgia to this really small town. Like,
do you remember how many kids were in that school?
Which one?
The Georgia one.
I don't know, man. It's a lot bigger now, but it was like massive compared to this. Yeah. And then I went to a school where, I graduated with like 100, 150 people, so it was a huge difference. So, I get to this town and I get there the summer before my sophomore year. I'm the new guy, but it's a really small town, like really small.
Did you feel like you had a leg up because of that?
Well, it was crazy because I grew in that time, man. So it's like fucking wild. Like I got to this school and I was like one of the biggest dudes at the school as a sophomore, and like I was like strong as like everybody, all the seniors and whatnot, and
And how into football were you at this time?
Oh, I was all about it,
So when you moved in, were you like, I'm about to, like, was football on your brain? Like, coming to this
dude.
new school?
And I'd have people at practice try to cheap shot me and shit because there was like, who's this new guy trying to fucking come in here and like take position or whatever. So I was a lineman predominantly, yeah. Really? So so I moved all over the line and I grew more so I was like went from center to guard to tackle.
Even in high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it seemed like you would have been your body type would have been good for like a defensive end or
I was thicker,
maybe
dude.
Even like a tight end.
I was like 250.
Yeah.
So and I was also like and I was big for that school. So I was like,
but you're athletic though. Your athleticism may have been wasted a little bit on the line. Could have had a little defense.
Yeah, but I like the line. I'm not gonna lie. I was like very dirty. Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I fucking punch people in the stomach and shit. I don't care, man. People are like, "Oh, sportsmanship." Like it was never about that.
Joseph.
Nah, dude. Like I'm gonna fucking beat you, and I'm gonna do it. Like funny. I'm gonna like.
That's so funny.
If you're coming off the line, like I'm throwing a fist up in your gut.
It's so crazy to hear. And from the perspective of this episode, like, we always joke almost every damn episode about sports ball and like how you don't give a shit about sports. So like it's this part is like fascinating for me to hear because that that was like my life at the time too. So we actually relate on that.
Yeah, I did everything, dude. I was like skateboarding and stuff, but even it was crazy when I was in middle school. Like I was skateboarding, and I like went through like a goth phase. So I like painted my fingernails black and shit.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. I used to get so
Did you
fucked
grow out
with
the bangs.
I had some bangs at some point. I don't think it was that bad, but yeah, dude, I was all about it, and just went through several different phases. And so that was interesting.
Come in ready to bang heads sophomore year.
Yeah, ready to bang heads, and just playing ball. Like,
so how much success did you have in football? Like, were you good? Was your team good? What was that type?
Actually, our team was really good. Yeah, I mean, we worked our way up. Especially my senior year, like up to like second or third round playoffs. Yeah. And so we were really good. I mean, there were some teams we just literally like 40-something to 0. Yeah. But we had a good, solid team. But it was a small town mindset, man. And like, no disrespect to anybody there, but it was like, people got favors because like this was
the
local cops,
or
the local cop, that's his son, and like this and that. And it was a little political, man. And that's definitely just my view from the outside in. Like you see the whole buddy system, like it's generations of people that have lived in this small town and everybody knows everybody's fucking business. And it's just like, dude, I'm not going to lie. Like I liked the landscape. It was a beautiful place, but like I never would have ever fit in there just because I wasn't fucking from there. You're not one of us. You're an outsider.
My dad grew up in a very small town and he was one of the people that's lived there his whole life and his dad lived there. And like, so, Yeah, I've asked him point blank before, like, I don't understand why you never left.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm so glad I did. I mean, I always wanted to get the fuck out of there, but like when I was in high school though, like I grew and I was an athlete. And so like, I lived like right on the outskirts of town and everybody else lived like out in the country and shit. So after football games, right, like people would come over to my house and we'd party every fucking Friday.
So did the social aspect of things get better at that point?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I was a jock. I had a lot of friends,
you hit your growth spurt.
Cheerleader girlfriends and shit like that, like that was never an issue. And it was cool and all. And I think the problem is that like I was focused more so on all that than like really trying to excel athletically. So I did what I needed to do. And I had a natural gift at just
in
being
the sports,
good and
you
strong.
Really,
I just wouldn't I wouldn't go I wasn't in the gym the extra, And of course at the time I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get a scholarship and all this shit. And I realized, like, looking back, I'm like, I made my choices, man. I didn't fucking put in the work I needed to get to a whole nother level. Yeah. Like, I probably could have redshirted or like played somewhere and like worked my way up and put in the work ethic, but I really never really put that effort in myself. Right. But I just loved playing, and I liked girls and I liked to party. And so that's just what I did, I made mediocre grades, C's.
What was your parents' involvement at this point? Like, were they trying to push you to focus on?
To backtrack on that too, my parents were just so, I was raised, by both my parents. They're still together and they're a couple of my best friends.
And you
my
talk
parents
about this a
and
lot.
I got my little sister, and like I got a really tight knit family and I love them all to death. And then, it's not to brag because the older I get, the more I realize how rare that is.
That's what I was
It's just
say.
such a gift and I'm very grateful for it. And,
we talk to a lot of people that's not the case, and I think it's cool that you make a point to bring up, like,
when you're younger, you tend to take it for granted, and then you get older.
That's all you know. You don't realize like everybody's parents aren't like that.
Yeah, and then you get older, and you realize like how fucked a lot of people's situations are, and you're like, fuck, dude, like I got something rare in this world.
Yeah.
Like that's everything. That's why I moved. One of the main reasons I moved to Tennessee is to be close to them.
Why do you think that their relationship has worked so well for so long?
Honestly, don't know. I mean, they just meshed together well. They're very different, but then very similar too. And they enjoy a lot of the same things and whatnot. My mom's very like loving and outspoken and just like very like our personalities are very similar, but my dad's a little bit more reserved and just laid back and chill. But the older I get, the more traits I scoop up from my dad.
Yeah,
Even like little habit.
I hear that.
It's funny as shit, but anyways, very close to them. I love them to death. And
I have to say real quick, it's so hilarious to see you stand next to your parents. Like and like your dad in particular. I'm like, how the fuck did that come out of there? Like, I mean, your dad's a handsome guy and he's super athletic and stuff, but like when you stand next to him, I'm like, how the fuck is that your son? Like, he looks like your son, damn near. Like, it's crazy.
I'm definitely one of the.
And I love your dad. I'm not talking shit. It's just hilarious. Like,
No, I love you. I love like my dad. I'm definitely one of the taller people of my family. I don't know. My dad had a brother that passed, but like his son is also like big as fuck. Like he's
your cousin.
Yeah, a little bit taller than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was born like 10 pounds, but he was like 13 pounds out of the fucking womb. Like, so they just gave birth to some pretty large kids,
That's crazy.
But
your dad doesn't have any tattoos, I don't think.
He's got like one.
Yeah.
He's got like one here and like one.
And like you have like the mohawk and he's got like a hat. He's just very understated.
Well, I just, we'll get to that. We'll get to all that stuff. But I will say, like, I mean, my dad doesn't lift weights. He's a fucking triathlete,
Yeah,
but
by
I mean,
the way, he's a fucking triathlete.
Yeah, he's an Iron
Man's
Man.
a monster. Man's a monster. And when he had the heart issue, I remember him telling me that day at the HQ opening, he's like, I remember doing the race and being like, I feel a little weird. And he finished the race and then found out. So he's a savage.
He is, man. And so moving forward, went through high school. I mean, nothing crazy, right?
So to segue you real quick with the scholarship thing. So how did that end up working out?
So
like moving into the next stage.
Oh yeah. So and another thing I picked up too is so my junior year, the girls were like, oh, you cheerlead. Yeah. And I'm like, the fuck, I'm not cheerleading.
How can you cheerlead and play football though?
I'm a tough man. I don't do all that shit. Well, it's not like pom-pom cheerlead. It's like,
just
competition.
Like competition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but then my senior year came around, they brought it up again. And then, it was like me and a few other football buddies that ended up doing it. And I was like, fuck it.
I know a friend of mine who played football with me and he did the same thing.
Dude, and guess what, man? Like, I wasn't able to do stunting and throw people up until after football season. My coach was like, you better not fucking get hurt doing this cheerleading shit. But afterward, we started doing all the routines, and like I got really good at it, man. I could do like some pretty athletic shit, and you know, I was really good at stunning with the chicks. And
That's right. You're hearing this correctly.
yeah,
Cheerleader Joe Adams.
hey, dude. Well, fuck. I mean,
it's just fascinating. You
but
know?
I'll tell you this. You know, so moving forward. So I'll get to that, like the whole cheerleading thing. So I did the competition shit. We went to like nationals and stuff, you know, and like they were like, you should come try out at like University of Oklahoma and this, that. Like I was like, dude, like this whole other world. And
you were telling somebody about some huge camp that you went to.
so yeah, I used to be a UCA cheer instructor, Universal Cheer Association, and I was an instructor for that. And that was fun, dude. So my first job out of high school was like, hey, you get to get sent to the beach and different like universities, and you're just going to be like, it's going to be you and like a couple other dudes and like 10 college cheerleader chicks.
Yeah.
And you basically just go and get paid to
Sign me up.
I was like, that sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
And you just get paid a bunch of money just to go party and like instruct these camps. And it's like, well, it was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And like the dudes, we just got to show off and just throw people around.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot too, man. And what's funny is one of my coworkers there was Derek Brunson, the blonde UFC,
fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, I had
exactly
several
what you're
camps with
talking
him. He was my boy. I
Really?
haven't talked to him in years. So if I reached out to him now,
he's a savage.
Yeah. And so like he was actually
He's fought for the fucking middleweight championship of the world, dude.
yeah. So he was one of my coworkers, you know.
That's so cool.
And like we threw down together, man. So I had some good time there. And so then all these doors opened to go cheer, like, you know, fucking USC and like all these SEC schools and whatnot. Like I knew coaches. They're like, yeah, you know, we get you a scholarship. And I'm like, fuck, that's cool. But like, so my dad and my grandfather went to this college called the Citadel.
Yep.
Which is the military college in
exactly
South Carolina.
Yep.
And so it was like a legacy thing that I went there. Well, let's say, so I was committed to that. I was like, I'm supposed to go. I got accepted pretty easily, even with mediocre grades, because
You said
like
your dad,
that.
right?
My dad and grandfather,
And
and my
grandfather.
dad's uncle or cousin.
And that's a military college. That's like a legit, like,
Yeah.
if y'all don't know, it's like one of the oldest, I think, schools in the country.
It's pretty old. I couldn't tell you.
Very
It's in
old,
Charleston.
very like
Pretty cool place.
prestigious, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. Like it's very well known.
But so I had the opportunity to go there, so I went, and I lasted just like a few weeks, and I was just like, dude, fuck this. I was
Yeah.
like,
Was
I
it
don't know,
because of the
just-
military aspect or the school aspect?
I think it was just all of it, man. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just something kept telling me like, Joe, you're doing this for other people, and because I didn't want to go deep down, but I know if I didn't go, like I would have disappointed like my dad.
You
and
weren't taking
stuff.
advantage of the legacy thing.
And
stuff?
yeah, and it's just like I knew it would mean a lot to them, so I put how they felt maybe above my own feelings. I'd made a choice based off of like, I think just that kind of pressure as a kid, and I think, looking back, you see a lot of kids go to college because they think they're supposed to, or they're told to, and they choose a certain major or whatever because they're supposed to. I mean, it's just that common theme of like,
God, that white noise is crazy.
yeah,
As soon as
yeah.
it goes away, you're like, silence.
It's just that common theme of trying to please others instead of choosing your own path. And so I stepped away from that, and I know that was hard for like my family and stuff to see that I just gave up on that. But also that wasn't my dream.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you gave up on it, but I mean, it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It wasn't even yours to do to begin with, really.
Exactly. But then, so I went to a school called Gardner Webb University in North Carolina. I was able to get put into school a little later. So I got there a little later than some others and started classes.
Is this like the same semester?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So you transferred mid-semester to another school?
no, because like everything at the Citadel started a little early, like went through Hell Week and all that stuff.
Oh, really? You had to do a Hell Week?
Yeah, it's just like where they're freaking making you run around and screaming at you, making you do all kinds of physical shit.
Just like as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, just basically hazing you pretty much. I don't know. This is what they do. Yeah, to
That's
the new
really
people.
weird.
Which that wasn't the thing that bothered me, but it was just like I just didn't.
So do a lot
It's
of...
ironic because I just didn't care about that structure and like the school. I don't know. I just didn't want that.
Yeah.
And maybe I did just like bitch out kind of, but I just know I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking do this for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Is it like 99% of graduates go to the military or something? Like, is that why they're allowed to get away with that type stuff, that treatment? Because it's like truly a military school.
Well, I mean, they do military type stuff. I think they've had to. I think they've gotten in trouble recently for like hazing, but at the end of the day, like it's really not that serious. People just fucking.
Well, I'm just saying, if you go to MTSU, you're not going to get hazed because it's not a military school.
No,
you know what I mean?
no.
So, like, are they doing that because they know all these guys are going to go in the
they
military?
make it structured. They make it like you're in the military.
Are there women?
Yeah, but there's like specific women like dorms and whatnot. Okay. So, you know, I was just like, fuck this. And so I went to Gardner Webb. I had the intentions of doing well, and I had a good start for like 2 fucking weeks. And then somebody had like asked me, hey, you want to go smoke some weed? I'm like, yeah. And I'd smoked and stuff when I was in high school, but you know, I wasn't crazy. I was just like a typical high school kid. Like I smoke every once in a while. Mostly I just like to drink.
Yeah.
And smoke some cigarettes. But and dude, it went crazy, man. Like I just started smoking every day, and then we'd start going to this dealer's house, and he lived in the town next town over, and in this trailer park, and we go to this dealer's house and get weed. The next thing you know, we're like hanging out there all the time, and then I'm getting weed, and I started doing pills. And then it just like Klonopins, Xanaxes, man. I'd take like a handful of pills. I'd fucking crush them up and put them in blunts and smoke them.
Jeez.
And like, all I did was smoke probably like, all I did every day was literally smoke weed, smoke black and milds, and snort pills. It got to the point where I was like, I'd snort like 8 pills at a time.
What's the time frame on this?
Just that whole year, a whole year of school, like first and second semester. And just like, dude, I'm telling you, scrounging for change.
Yeah.
To get what I could. Hey, you know, getting with my dealer. Hey, I'll run this over here. I'll bring you over here. Like doing some pretty sketchy shit.
She became like full on addicted at that point.
Oh yeah, because I'd do anything. I was taking some pretty stupid risks as an 18-year-old kid, and just to get like my fix. You know,
was it one thing in particular? I know you said pills, but was it like
Xanax and Klonopins were my favorite for sure.
So or no, that's ketamine. Never mind.
And I think I would already feel like, you know, I don't know why I resorted to that so much. I think I felt kind of like a failure, and I felt like I was going nowhere in my life because I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I just had this overwhelming amount of pressure to have it figured out, and I didn't. So
well, you also felt probably more pressure to prove yourself right, your decision right to leave the Citadel too, right? Like you go to your new school, and it's like, well, now you really have to do well to.
Yeah, you know, and no blame on my parents. They had nothing but great intentions. They just wanted me to succeed and do well and follow a good path, like any parent should. But you know, this is where a lot of parents do that. I think their intentions are good, but it's just this is where it's going to be different with like my daughter. Like I want her to choose her path. Like if she wants to go to school, like, okay, great. Do you want to go to school? Like,
is that what you really want to do?
Would you rather travel or like work some other things, or like, are you an artist? You know, I don't know. Yeah. But when it gets there, I'm not going to be like, you know, you need to go to school and you need to have it figured. Because guess what? I didn't know what I want to do in my life till I got hit by a car later on in life, you know? And that's the whole fucking thing. And so I think it's just that overwhelming amount of pressure that I didn't have it figured out, and I'd have so much anxiety over it. And of course, like that's what Xanax helps with. And I just fucking go numb. I was like, if I just take more pills, I'm not worried about it. So I'd combine that with drinking too. So like half my life was a fucking blackout at the point.
Dude, the Xanax, I mean, just quick aside, I've only done Xanax twice, and they were back-to-back days. And I didn't remember fucking anything. And I just remember feeling completely blackout drunk. And I was like, I don't even think that that's fun. Like, I just that's not fun to me to like just not remember anything. And then like, true story, we were smoking out back on the porch to try to make it stronger. Like I needed that shit for a Xanax. Yeah. But we're out there smoking, and then we come back inside, and dude, it was like I was fucking hammered. Like I just like couldn't even hardly walk straight. I knocked my sister's fucking turret. She had a fucking cage with a turtle in it, dude, and I knocked it over.
Turtle escaped.
Turtle got out. Couldn't find the turtle. Right. A few days go by. Fucking somebody. I think it was Margaret actually. Fucking backed up and. Get out, there's a little turtle on the ground. I was like, oh fuck!
Did you fuck that turtle up?
I just told her I never found it.
Well, now she knows.
Yeah.
But
so Xanax not my thing.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't think it was my thing.
Well, and also like you like stimulants. That's the opposite. That's not even like your thing. That's not even like how you usually like to go.
I'm a totally different person than I was then. Because like stimulants are like a more, helping me be productive.
It's kind of like enjoying your life in a way versus Xanax is kind of like get away from your life.
Yeah. Xanax just helped me escape. And so, between like I said, the pills and weed and alcohol, like that was just my life, man. I consumed it. And so, yeah, man, I was just doing a lot. I get so many stories, but like that'd take me a whole fucking.
So full on addict. Well, tell me something that comes to mind, like a particularly dirty, grimy, like right in the middle of really bad addiction. You said you did some stuff for a dealer. Like, is there anything that comes to mind where like maybe you were in a really dangerous situation, maybe you did something in particular, or that's? I mean,
it's just like, oh, he couldn't drive, so be like bringing him some stuff over to this part of town and sitting there and waiting while he's doing his thing, and of course, hey, other people walking up to my car and they're like, what are you doing out here? Because I don't necessarily fit in that part of town. So just little shit like that, man. And,
just shit could have popped off at any moment, dude.
Yeah. And then like his mom lived in the trailer next over, and she had a boyfriend that didn't like me for some reason. He just didn't like me. I think it's because I like a white dude. I don't know. But I mean, because he had made some comment. He was like that white boy. So I just assumed. Yeah. And and then they got defensive over me, and then they were pulling guns out on each other.
Damn.
It was just like, I was like, yo, dude, I can just leave.
I used to do the same shit as far as like smoking every day, go to this bloke's house here, this bloke's house there. But one rule for now I only go to dispensaries because I don't have to deal with any of that shit anymore. But rule of thumb, bro, you start hanging out with the plug.
Shit gets wild.
Probably not going to go how you think it's going to go.
We'd be over there like at his spot all the time. I'd be over there in the middle of the fucking day, just like.
Dude, there was one in particular I'm thinking of, and like it was one of those situations where you leave and you're like, I kind of wish he wasn't so nice to it. Like he's a little too.
I'm like, this is my boy.
Yeah, like, dude, we would come in and, oh, you guys are the fucking, look, you guys are so real, bro. You're like my brother. I'm like, dude. With all due respect,
we're family.
My man, I'm trying to fucking.
Yeah, dude.
Trying to get a 1.5 bag from you real quick, and I just go.
Yeah, it was sketchy, man. And so, moving forward, I went through that whole phase of life. And I remember, I got pulled over one time, my buddy and I just got my car fucking clean that day. Like, I cleaned the fuck out of it. And there was like seeds and stuff in the back. And I remember I ran a light and with my old friend that's now still in the military. And I got pulled over. Like I literally ran a light and there's a state trooper sitting there. And because this light over here turned green, but I thought it was my arrow. So I just took a left. And I just remember like seeing this cop. I was like, fuck. And he pulled me over. It was like midnight. And he like put my friend in front of the car. He put me in his passenger seat and he searched the whole vehicle. And luckily, like there was a couple pills in the cup holder that we just popped real quick. And we just finished smoking. So he didn't find shit. But, yeah, I got really lucky that time.
In a few of those myself.
I was like, dude. Sir, I want to be a state trooper one day. He was like, yeah, okay. I was like bullshitting him.
I was coming home from a movie late at night, same type of deal, and didn't stop at this weird part in Hermitage where you stop and then you turn right and then you turn left again. Like it's just all within like a foot. And like I pulled to the red and then like and like you said, I didn't stop all the way.
Yeah.
So he pulls us over and we had smoked before. Yeah. And it was like a miracle we didn't have anything in the car. And
yeah, I know. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, put us both in the backseat of the fucking cop car. He's searching. And
I remember sitting in the passenger. He put me in the passenger seat when he was searching my car. I remember like looking at the wheel, and I was just like, what if I just fucking drive it like 10 feet and then just be like, I'm kidding.
Just joking, bro.
Then I was like, no.
We were in the backseat.
Get that out of your head.
And I'm like, well, I knew it smelled terrible. But there was nothing in there. I knew there was nothing in there, but it smelled terrible. He just comes back to the thing last night. He's like, dude, go clean your car out.
Yeah.
And I was like, heard.
Yeah. And dude, it was just.
And there were other times I didn't get off.
Yeah.
But
it was just, dude, I was just grimy, man. I don't know. And
that's the word, bro. I think about that time in my life, too, and I'm just like, what the fuck was I doing?
Disgusted me. And then so, anyway, so moving forward. So I pretty much got to the end of the year of college. That summer I'd gone back to UCA. I had got to go back to try to coach with them again. And dude, at this time I wasn't athletic looking at all. I felt like shit, and I seeing all these people I knew before. And I was hanging out with them, and there was
Derek Brunson. He's just looking like a god.
I don't know if Derek was there at this spot, but I don't know. I don't really remember, man. And I remember being around all these people that like I had worked with the summer before and like had such good times with, and we were just catching up. I remember feeling like a fucking loser, man. I was just like, dude, I'm such a loser compared to
Like
these
that
fucking
quick,
people.
just 10 months later.
Yeah, and there was some dinner or something that night, and like they were all headed down there. I was like, yeah, I'll be down in a minute. And dude, I fucking like packed my bags and I went and got in my car and I popped some Xanax and lit a joint and just fucking left.
Really?
And I ghosted everybody, dude.
Wow.
People were reaching out to me left and right. I just ignored them.
Wow.
I was just so ashamed of who I was. I was like, why the fuck am I here? Like, I just don't deserve it. And I don't deserve this opportunity. I don't deserve to be around these people. Like, I'm a fucking piece of shit. And I just fucking left. And I mean, if you're out there, if you're listening, like, yeah, my bad. I was in a bad place in life, you know? That's all I can say, man. I was just too fucking embarrassed and ashamed. And I just fucking disappeared, bro.
Yeah.
I had people emailing me. I just fucking was so just worthless.
Yeah.
I felt so worthless. And so I was just like, fuck. Like, as soon as they all went downstairs, I made sure the coast was clear and I fucking just dipped
out.
Yeah, man. And
So you never really talked to those people since then?
no, I think I've interacted with a couple on Facebook Messenger over the years, but past few years. And
But in general, no.
no, I ran into one instructor. Like this one girl, she was running the camp in Panama City when I was like down there in the military, and I was like ran into her at this bar and I was talking to her, and it was pretty fun catching up. But other than that, yeah, I just fucking disappeared, bro. I was like, all right.
So when you got back then, what did you do?
Man, and then I just kept moving through school. Pretty much just like, all right, I'm going to fail everything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm fucking failing out of everything. And so, I don't know, man. I went and got all fucked up one night. Dude, I had such bad munchies. I ate like a whole thing of Oreos, like double stuff. And I remember feeling so sick.
Yeah.
And the next day I went to the dorm bathroom and I was just like shirtless. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, disgusted, dude. I just had this coming to like this moment where I was like, you're such a fucking, what the fuck, Joe?
Yeah.
And I just was like so disgusted with myself in that moment. And I was just looking at myself hard, bro.
It was like unrecognizable.
Like, just like, yeah. And I was like, I fucking hate you. I just looked in the mirror and I was like, I fucking hate everything you are. I hate how you look. I hate who you are. I hate what you do. I just had this crazy hatred towards myself. But that wasn't necessarily myself. I love myself so much.
Yeah.
That I wanted to walk away from that person that I saw. And dude, like that day, I left that motherfucker in the mirror. And I walked away and hit up my buddy immediately. And I was like, dude, and he was the one I went back to my hometown and, you know, we'd get fucked up together on the weekends. And I was like, bro, I'm going to go to a military recruiter. So long story short, we both went to an Air Force recruiter. And next thing you know,
he wasn't in either. So was this a guy that was also living the same kind of life?
Yeah. He was like my best friend, at the time, and
so you went to him,
and we still connect here and there. But he's like 15 years. He's like 14 years in the military now, or something like that. 13 years. Like we joined at the same time. So
you went to him kind of like, look, we're both kind of living this life.
Yeah.
I'm
and he was like, dude,
it.
he was like, I've been thinking about the same thing.
That's crazy too, because that's a great point. Like to think about, like he just needed that prompt. You know, he was thinking about the same thing. He just needed somebody to tell him to go do it.
Yeah, dude. Now he's like fucking.
And then it probably was good for you that he was like, yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah, now he's married with 3 kids. He's getting stationed in Hawaii again. Like
And it's interesting too, because people, you know, we talk all the time about the people that you surround yourself with, right? And if somebody looked at that from the outside, they say, well, don't go talk to this guy. This guy's part of your problem. This guy's doing all the same shit.
I just hoped he'd want to change his life too.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying is that's an interesting thing, because sometimes, you know, and that's how you were too. Like you said, you hated yourself. So from the outside looking in, people would be like, don't fuck with him. Yeah. He's fucking his shit up. So it's interesting that it went that way, because you ultimately you did have good, like him being, you did have a good person around you, because he was like, I've been thinking about the same thing, let's go do it together. Yeah. You know, and it's interesting it worked out that way, because you could have gone to him and he could be like, dude, you're being a fucking pussy. Yeah. Like, and then maybe you're like, you know what, you're right, I'm being dumb, and boom, boom, and then you're right back in it. So
no, it was a team effort.
That worked out well too.
It was a team effort, man. We both wanted to change.
Takes a village, baby.
Yeah, and I love him to death. I mean, we just lost contact because just like duty stations and just life, you know.
When he's still in, which means that was a pivotal moment in his life when you came to him.
He's a career dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he's a stand-up. He's a very stand-up individual. So shout out to you, bro. But yeah, so moving forward,
went to the military.
Yeah, went in the military. I mean,
so you went to the Air Force recruiter. So tell people what you did and how you got into that, because I think that's pretty interesting. Like what you were doing in the military.
So yeah, I went to Air Force recruiter. You know,
Did you want to do combat?
I wanted to go special operations. So I wanted to go like pararescue or combat control.
Our boy Zach.
Like yeah. But for Air Force stuff, and you know that was my aspiration. I started fucking running and like all the time. My dad was taking me to track. I was in sweatsuits.
Do you want to be like a SEAL?
No, like Air Force pararescue or combat control. So it's SEALs Navy.
Oh, I said Navy. Yeah. I get those two confused all the fucking.
It's
See,
okay.
my buddy Kyle's in the fucking Air Force, and I always say he's in the Navy. I do not know why.
Very different.
Yeah, very different.
Air.
Very different.
But yeah, so I wanted to do that, and I was busting my ass, man. I like lost a shit ton of weight, and I was just getting after it, trying to really make some changes, and I wanted to do some badass shit. I was like, I want to jump out of planes, fucking do fucking gnarly stuff, and go on missions. And so, but I had the opportunity to go in. And the goal was just to keep working on myself physically and cross train to that, you know, in a couple of years, because I was told that was like an option. And so I went in as an weapons, Air Force armament systems. So it's a weapons site, technically a weapons mechanic. So you work on like whatever aircraft you're put on, you're a mechanic on all those weapon systems, and then you load the weapons and you take them off and stuff. So anything weapons related, you're really doing there. And went through basic training, went through tech school training, which is where they send you somewhere to like train for your job. And like I was put on F-22s. And so if for those of you know, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what an F-22 Raptor is. Just watch any fucking modern movie. They're like the cool jets in there. But
So, maybe a stupid question again, but Top Gun. So, is that real? Were you adjacent to that at all? Was that something you were like?
I didn't fly anything.
But like you talk about like F-22s and stuff. Is that like?
I don't really remember the scenes from Top Gun. I think
I've
I
never
watched
even
some of
seen
it. Yeah, so I've heard there was F-22s in it, but I really couldn't tell you.
It's supposed. So I haven't even seen it, but it's supposedly it's like a group of super elite pilots and shit. And I didn't know how.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What's going on with that? So I couldn't tell you.
No,
but
as a person that didn't watch either movie, I probably shouldn't have even asked that question. But
I'm pretty sure in like the Transformers movies there was like an F-22 Transformer.
Starscream, probably.
Yeah. But anyway, so really cool fucking jet. You know, like that was pretty neat. And I got stationed in Panama City, Florida. So this was like 2009. I joined, and I got stationed in Panama City, Florida. Yeah, 2010. And yeah, dude, I was in the Air Force for 6 years, and I was down there, doing my fucking thing, loading weapons, doing mechanic stuff.
So when you like, again, probably a stupid question, like loading weapons onto the F-22s before they go.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and maintaining all their systems and whatnot. And it's a lot of work, man. It's long days, crazy schedules, but you know, it's part of life.
Is that like a technical skill that translates at all into regular life?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that retire or get out and like get jobs with like Lockheed Martin and stuff like that, you know, which is way better paying in your civilians.
That's like private contracting, right?
Yeah. But like personally for me, I was like, dude, I never want to touch a fucking plane again.
Yeah.
So that's just how I am. But I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of cool shit. And
So the special ops thing, where did that go?
Oh, so like I got in crazy shape. And you know, I was training all the time and whatnot. But then it was just like that opportunity is like, oh, you couldn't, basically they were straight up like, oh, you won't get the opportunity to do it till like 4 years in. And I was like, okay, you know, so I just kept doing my thing. And I don't know, man. I think I analyzed.
But you signed 6 years, right?
I signed 6.
So that wouldn't have been an issue, or were you thinking I'm going to have to re-enlist?
Dude, honestly, by the time it got to 4 years, I was just ready to get out.
Yeah.
I was ready to just take off with life. And it's not. There's a lot of people I met in the military I love, and there's no disrespect to them. Like I think it's just a lot of the other inner workings I won't get to, like some of the politics and whatnot, and just a lot of things in the military. I was just like, I don't know. I'm done. Like I was like, I want to get out. You know, like, this is just. I knew that the military was just a chapter of my life, and it was going to close when I was like that enlistment was up. Because originally I was like, I'm gonna be in 30 fucking years. Yeah. And then I just realized, like, nah, this isn't my destiny. You know, like, there's more.
You just felt it.
There's something else after this that I need to go achieve.
Well, you were right.
And yeah, exactly. So, you know, and I got deployed. I had to beg my flight chief to get me deployed because we were at a training base. So I had to get volunteered to deploy. And so that was pretty cool experience. And
where'd you go?
Al Udeid in Qatar. So a lot of people bet that's not a real deployment, but it's the desert. It's in the Middle East.
I was wondering why you're laughing. I'm like, oh, it sounds.
No, because you get guys that are like, oh man, that's a nice spot. And it is. I mean, like you're in the desert, you're in the Middle East, but it's I mean, there's fucking good food. Like,
still cool to say you did.
You don't got to sleep. You don't stay in tents. You stay in trailers. Like
So what was the difference between what you would do on a daily basis, like being deployed and not deployed, or was it pretty much the same?
No, I've worked totally different job. Like, so I was with security forces and like working with TCN. So like working with foreign nationals that were doing things around the base, like doing construction and like guarding everything and getting them through the gate and getting them searched and just a number of different things. And then I got put with security forces and, you know, doing this and that. So it was just a number of different things.
Pretty cool. I'm muting myself. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was fun, dude. I had a blast.
Did you like that more than the weapons loading?
No, weapons loading on a deployment would have been fucking badass because it's like those things are coming back empty, so you know they're bombing shit up. You know, so like yeah, it's crazy, but I had fun, man. I got to go overseas and get deployed at the end of the day, and that's what just was a goal for me while I was in because it gave me that fulfillment. Nobody
can ever.
I got deployed, you know,
nobody can ever take that. Whether
it
was cushy or not, it still happened. It's still awesome.
I mean, you're still in
Qatar. You're still in a dangerous part of the world. You're still, you know.
Yeah, and you're still fucking working, man. Like I don't know.
You're serving your country.
I'm doing overseas. My thing. You know, and all there is to work, eat, and work out. So like that's all I did. It was eat.
There's a part of you that's like that was fun.
Yeah, well, dude, it was great. I was single. So I didn't have like a fucking girlfriend or whatever that I had to call back home.
Out in Qatar?
Yeah.
Out in the Qatari cities?
I got to go to the city, Doha. Yeah, I got to go a couple times, and that was pretty cool.
Interesting.
And just check it out. You know, it's just probably.
Were you like in your like your release and stuff? Like, were you in military stuff?
No. They don't want. Yeah, you don't want to be doing that. You wear like pants and stuff. You dress like a tourist, pretty much. And
interesting.
You go out though and get.
I mean, you probably they're probably like, well, that guy's fucking military. For sure. Yeah, you're not hiding, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, I look a lot different now than I did then. Even I was clean cut and whatnot, but now I stick out like a sore thumb. But even then, like it was cool, like checking out the city. It was just there's a lot of money there too and stuff. So it was like it was just a totally different world, man. And got to go to like the little markets in Doha and like eat some cool food and whatnot. Cool experience. It flew by. But the coolest thing is I really got honed in on like fitness and nutrition and whatnot. So that's when I started doing a lot of research on like diet and different training styles and really learning about fitness rather than just going to working out and running and all that shit. And I got obsessed, dude. And when I got back, I'd ordered a Harley while I was there, and the Harley is a significant part of the story. When I got back, I think it was like 2022 or no, 2012,
not 2020.
Yeah, 2013. I think it was like 2013. I got back from deployment, and I only had a couple of years left in the military at this point, and I ordered a Harley out there. Got my. Oh,
so you went deployed like 4 years in, and then you still had a couple of years when you got back from deployment.
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
so what were you supposed to do when you get back? Go back to where you were before?
What's that?
Like, where were you going to go when you got back? The same place you were in before?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's only so many F-22 bases because, like, Obama shut down the whole F-22 program and whatnot. So they were supposed to make a lot more, but they didn't. Anyways, so I get back. I have a couple of roommates. I'm just like, all I'm doing is just working and fucking training. Getting obsessed with lifting and all that stuff, being fitness, meal prepping. I was like, oh yeah, I really love this shit. And just the knowledge of it, right? And so I was super geared in and focused. I had my motorcycle. I was out riding, learning how to ride it. I think that a week after I got it, I just got I got back and I got my license on base. And then I went and picked up my bike like the next day. And then a week later, like a week into riding, I rode up to Atlanta and shit. I was just like, fuck it,
Had
dude.
you ever ridden a bike before?
No, man.
So that was like
my mom wouldn't allow it only because like all 5 of my uncles were in like bad motorcycle wrecks.
Solid.
And so I was like, well, I'm going to get them over.
So that was brand new to you at that point.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
so you went all in on it then.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I want this custom Harley.
I actually I was at the freaking dispensary, the greenhouse the other day, and a girl told me that she knew you from motorcycle days. I can't remember, like Jesse something. I don't know. But anyways.
I have no idea.
I was like, dude, I knew him back then too, but I know him a lot more now. So I don't know if I could really tell you.
Yeah. Different.
Yeah. A little bit
times.
different times, but yeah. So continue.
That's funny. But yeah, so I got the Harley. Like I said, I got back. I just took it on the road. I was like, fuck it, man. I like this. And then I met a girl, and we
So you're still in Panama though, right now?
Yeah, I'm still in Panama. And we started dating, and we started dating for a while. And I was like, yo, by the way, just so you know, in like a year and a half or a couple of years, I'm leaving here. Like I'm moving to. Yeah, this is about 2 years from getting out. I was just so you know, I'm getting out when my contract's up. Like I'm moving to Tennessee. I'm starting my own life.
You already knew.
She's like,
I keep fucking muting myself. You already knew you were moving to Tennessee at that time?
Yeah, I already made that call because I was at that mark where I just was about to get the opportunity to cross train, and I was already just done. And I got hired at that time for Load Barn, so weapon standardization, where pretty much I didn't do any weapons maintenance. All we did was load. All we did was certify people on loads. So anybody that came in needed to get certified on this jet or like re-up their certification, whatever. Like we just handled all loading stuff. And it was like the best loaders on the base got selected for that job and had to interview and whatnot. So needless to say, I was one of the best. Anyways.
Of course, naturally.
No, but I had a lot of fun doing that. That was a cool way out.
That was like your last couple of years?
Yeah. And I was with her, and like, I proposed to her like 8 months into dating, right? And her dad was like ex-military, like in like 30 something years.
So you guys were all like, hoorah.
Yeah, he was Navy. He was like a diver, like a master diver, and which was pretty cool. But yeah, long story short, man, she was all on board with like moving in the future, and then I proposed, and dude, like, man, within that following month.
Within a month.
I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And nothing against her. She just like, she did not see. She was like, you're like a boy. I remember one night she was like, you're just like a child with your dreams and ambitions. And I was like, she's like, you should stay in the military. Like, it's just smarter. And I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
that's a pretty.
Where's this coming from? Okay, so.
Because I'm trying something different with that. But yeah, we're gonna do mine next week. In case you hadn't noticed, we're like an hour in, and so yeah,
that's what it is.
But that's totally fine because we got plenty of stuff. In all honesty, I also want that for you, but so you can tell your whole
There's
thing.
a lot of details.
I mean,
yeah,
we going for an hour. You haven't even gotten to the wreck. So.
Yeah, and so I started dating her, and then like we were together for a while, and pretty much like a month after propose, it was like this ain't gonna work. Like let's fucking cut this out, and this sucked, man. It was tough for me because I didn't want to I never thought that I would be calling off an engagement, and I was like 23 years old, 24 years old. And I was like, fuck, dude, this is a hard thing to do. call off a wedding. And,
it's good preparation for you.
But yeah, been there, done that. Yeah.
Sorry.
But, but at the end of the day, like I had to make a choice. I was like, dude, I just could feel it. I was like, we're not right for each other. This isn't going to work. I'm not going to be happy. She's not going to be happy because she obviously wants something totally different, and that's fine. Like someone can provide that.
In all seriousness, I know you're going to get to the second time as well, but like, as much as like that sucks and somebody could be, well, you did it after 8 months. Like, what did you expect? Like, but regardless of that, you're a passionate person, and at the time, that's what you felt like you wanted to do. And then what I think you should be commended for and you should be proud of is that, you moved quickly once you realized the right decision.
Yeah.
Right? Like once you hit that mark with both of those situations, you were courageous enough to step up and be like, look, I know what I feel. I know that this isn't going to work, and I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to cut this cord now. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people would either, number one, listen to her and be like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Go back to the military, or
I had to
stay
follow
with
my
her
heart,
anyway.
right?
You know what I mean? And so I've heard before that like good decision making and being decisive and that kind of thing is like once you come to a decision, you stick to it, but you're also you don't move off of it easily. Yeah. But once you decide to move off of it, you move off of it.
Dude, everybody's got that feeling when they're making the wrong call. Yeah. It's like follow your gut.
Yeah.
Like, and not like cold feet type shit. Like, no, you know when it's right and when it's wrong.
Well, you're
because
thinking
it
like, I'm
definitely
gonna be with
wasn't
this
cold
person.
feet. I was just like, I was thinking about the future, man. I was
just
like, okay, this is what they
unaligned.
want. This is what I want.
Right.
Those don't go together. And someone's going to be settling. Someone's going to be unhappy. And that's not a positive, that's not a positive future, right? So at the end of the day, someone's just going to be getting their way. And like, that's just not how it should be. Like, you should kind of be on the same trajectory, right? And so, and she wanted me to change my music list, the music I listen to and stuff. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
That's like what you talked about, how you don't agree with like happy wife, happy life.
No, fuck that.
Because if one part, and again, that goes, like you said, both ways. If one party is constantly getting their way, there will be resentment on the other side.
Dude, guys that live by the happy wife, happy life are the ones that are sitting at the bar on the weekends, drinking beer and, you know, flirting with Stacy or the bartender or the fucking waitress. And telling their buddy about how, like, oh, my ball and chain this, my ball and chain that, and oh, well, so she let me do this. And it's just like, dude, fuck that. The mindset, I think, is pitiful because, one, I don't go to bars and drink beer, but if I get together with my friends and I do happen to go get some drinks, I'm gonna be like, dude, my wife's fucking amazing. Yeah. You know, I love her to death. Like, she doesn't hold me down from shit. She lets me be a man and make my own decisions and trust me to do so. She's not my fucking ball and chain. It's equal like that. So
Margaret was talking the other day about she said that people can frustrate her when they talk about marriage, and she had somebody like recently that she was working with that basically, like, I mean, she knew she was engaged. She may have even been talking about the fact that we were engaged, like that we just got engaged over the last few months, and or no, excuse me, the woman had been divorced and was in a house that they were painting that was. She was like a stay-at-home wife, which nothing wrong with that, but the husband provides everything, this new husband. And the guy's there while she's talking to Margaret about how she should never get married. It's about how it's bad for this reason, that reason. Dude's right there. And
what the fuck?
And also Margaret's like about to get married. Like, to your point, like what a pitiful, what a just sour, toxic mindset to like, oh, marriage is this and that. And it's like, what the fuck? What? Like, and also, what a miserable thing to say to somebody who's engaged. Think about how either lack of awareness or just outright hatred that you have.
Marriage is like that.
You're gonna bitch. Spills out.
You're gonna bitch about it like that when you settle, and that's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact too.
Most people settle in their relationships. I can talk about this till my face is blue, but why? Because I almost did it a couple times. All right, I almost got in the wrong situation. Just people don't have the balls to call off an engagement or this and that.
Well, why do you
think they just stick it out because they're so close? And I'll get to the second part, one too. But that being said, you know, I avoided that. And you know, we'll talk more on that because it's important. Do you have anything else to say?
I was just gonna say, like, we're like kind of coming at people that make that decision, but for somebody that's in that shoes, like, what would you say? Like, other than like that's a shitty mindset to have. Like,
what shoes?
Like, either they're with somebody that they're unhappy with, or maybe they're engaged and they know it's the wrong person, or maybe it's headed towards marriage and it's the wrong person, but they don't know what to do. And like, my point is that you found it to be a very, very high priority that wasn't a good fit. And you were like, once you realize it wasn't a good fit, it's like, no, we're not doing this. So yeah, like for a person that would maybe be in that position. Okay.
So coming from like my situation,
how do you balls up? How do you like, you know?
Well, there's an interesting catalyst in the second one. So I will say
you can go to that one if you want, and then get to that question.
Oh, I'll bring that up.
Yeah,
but I will say, I'll bring that up when we get to it. But I will say, you know, I always thought I could like fix things. You know, I've always been a hopeless romantic. You know, I love love and I love hard, and but as a man, I think, you know, I can like save the day, right? And so like when it comes to a relationship, when it's going downhill or there's issues, it's like, I can fix it. We can fix it. It's going to be good, you know? And it's just that hope, that romantic mindset. And it comes to a point where you got to realize like not everything's meant to be fixed. Not everybody is meant for you. I've got a lot of friends I've lost in my life that I thought were like going to be there forever. And they were just meant there to be there for a chapter. And I've had to settle with that. So you can't fix everything. And at the end of the day, there's something I was going to play. You're going to have to edit this. You're going to have to edit this because I'm thinking.
You're allowed to think.
Yeah, I know. I wanted this to be a clip. Just kidding. No, but I think it's valuable. You know, we can't fix everything, and that's okay. But think about the future. So yes, it may be hard now to end that. And you may have to worry about fucking canceling the wedding and disappointing X, Y, and Z. One, it's not about everybody else. And that's what you got to get out of your head. It's not about everybody else. It's about you, the individual. It's not even about the other person. One, you have your rest of your life. How do you want to spend the rest of your life? Do you want to spend it with them? Two, you already know it's going downhill. You already see a grim future. Save yourself the fucking pain down the road. And in both of those situations, I was like, dude, I can just see where it's going to be down the road. I'm not going to be happy. I'll probably fucking have an affair. Who knows? But at the end of the day, while they may have hated me in that moment, one day those people will realize like, oh, Joe, I mean, that was the best call. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, save yourself the pain down the road, man. I'd much rather fucking take that heavy hit and suffer now and have to go through this painful moment than have to fucking put maybe my kids through it one day down the road and have to, split all these things. And that's the thing. Like, it's much bigger than that fucking moment right there or that wedding day. And at the end of the day, it's your future. Like, how do you want to live that life? And I remember I brought this up several times. My mom said, Joe, what if you never find what you're looking for? Like, what if you never find that because you have such high expectations? I said, Mom, then I'll die alone. I'd much rather spend my life, with myself and probably hire a surrogate and just have a kid. I'd much rather, that be my life than settle with the person that's not right for me, because at the end of the day, man, it's like, this is it, So is that the answer you're probably looking for?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sure. So I think just really think about it. Like, yeah, if you feel like your heart's telling you that, then that's something to take into consideration. And I think
and I just want to throw in a little tiny cherry on top too. If it's the other way around and you really feel the person's right for you, then it's also fuck everybody else. It's about you and it's about her. And it's like,
yeah,
if it's the other way too. So,
yeah. But when I say it's about you as the individual, yeah, that's when it comes to those situations though, you got to think of it that way, because at the end of the day, if you're sitting there thinking about, well, how do they feel? Like, what is it? Yeah, it's going to suck.
Well, I'm saying if let's say that like Lydia, for example, like with issues that she's had with her family, right? With you, like if for her, it's like, it's in a good way. Like, listen, this is about you. Like, the person that he is, how he treats you, how happy he makes you. So like that part doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like the same way with both. I think it really comes back down to not paying attention to that, whether it's you're calling it off or whether you're going to go for it. It's kind of like, do that.
Yeah.
If that's what you feel, either one of those things, do that.
Yeah. That's for us to decide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But anyway, so
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, man.
And also too, like you were talking a lot there about how you should do it for yourself, which I agree with. But also like, I don't want to call it off because I don't want to hurt that person because I care about that person. Well, you're not hurting them, because if you know truly that it's not going to work, then it's not going to work eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hurt.
Like you said, and now you're married, now you got kids, now you got to...
They're going to hurt a lot more worse in 20 years when you're calling it off then,
exactly.
And when it's ending. And that's the things people just don't consider because they think they're running out of fucking time.
Well,
guess what, dude?
And you're not doing them a favor. It's like I'm saying, like you think that you're like, because you care about them, I'm not going to do this. Like, no, you're actually just you're actually just building what's eventually going to be a bomb that's going to explode. If that's really like, if you really know it's not right for you and you choose to force past that to marry somebody, then like you're not doing them a favor. Yeah. You're not actually caring for them like you think that you are.
But also don't drag it out, because I don't think you can save it, because like for years I thought, could be fixed. It could be fixed. And then it's just like, it doesn't get fixed. And then it's just like, man, everybody's worried about running out of time and they got to do this family thing. But guess what? Your time can come up tomorrow or fucking 50 years from now. You're running out of time regardless. So why not maximize that time and fill that space with however much it is with the things that are good for you, the things that matter, And I think you're wasting time whenever you do drag it along.
Yeah.
100%. So that's the whole fucking thing.
I don't want to cut that line of thought, but I do want to get back to your story real quick.
So
with all that being said, you called off that
engagement, and so I moved in with my uncle. He's like an uncle, yeah. And he was involved with the motorcycle club down there, and we're not going to get too much into this. Of course, I had a bike, so I got around that world quite a bit, and things got pretty reckless and wild.
But you came out of the military around this time, or
No, I was with him for I stayed with him for like a year, and it was just crazy, man. We were raising hell, and I was spending a lot of time with that crew down there.
but you were doing both? You were still in the military?
Yeah, yeah. It was quite a mix, and I won't go too crazy into it, but that next year, yeah, I mean, I just partied a lot, rode a lot of motorcycles. I mean, I still like trained my ass off. I worked, I was in a much better place. Like I got past that whole like hard part of coming out of that relationship, and just fucking focused on getting out at that point. And I went ahead and applied to school closely towards the end of that, and and then at the end of 2005, I moved up to, or 2015, I moved up to Tennessee. I fucking packed a bunch of trash bags and rode my stuff up, drove my stuff up, and then like shortly after, I went and got my motorcycle and rode it back from Florida to Tennessee. And that's my first like longest trip, and that was a lot of fun. And so I moved to Mount Juliet, moved in with my parents a little bit, and they were like, "Stay with us, figure out what you're going to be doing," And so I started school at MTSU. And then I started dating a girl up in Mount Juliet, and that was, it was all exciting. It was new. I was like new in town. Getting to know people, this, that, and the other. Just living that civilian life. Worked a couple of pretty interesting jobs when I first got out, and then started school and was dating her.
Hey, at least one of those is really interesting. You have to at least say it. What? Your jobs.
Oh, the when I was doing like the tours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked with, I got a hookup through my cousin. I forget the name of the company, but I was doing like book tours with like some high profile authors like Ben Carson. So Ben Carson during his when he was running for president. So I got to like hang out on a bus like for a couple of weeks with Ben Carson and his wife. And
is he a cool dude?
Yeah, Ben was awesome. His wife, it's funny though, his wife just so much more energy, but he's so chill and like just kind. He was a really cool guy to be around, and like Greg Abbott and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm like not a politics guy.
Yeah, not to get into politics, but if Ben Carson had a more like outward personality, I think he'd be a superstar, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I thought very highly of him, knowing him. I never really paid attention to politics just because I don't like.
He's like a neurosurgeon, right?
I just don't like politicians. But he's very smart. He's extremely smart. Yeah, he's a neurosurgeon, very successful.
So, anyways, I thought that was a really cool job. But continue.
Yeah, and so, that was an interesting job. I mean, got to, like I said, tour some really cool people. And it's good pay, and it was a good segue into, the civilian life, and then going to school. So I did that for a little bit, and did some like construction work. Working on some apartments and this, that, and the other. And then I started school, but I was dating this girl, and I was with her for like 9 months. And then she cheated on me. And I was like, fuck, dude, that sucks. I feel hard, And it worked out though. It was like this, it was honestly really great because I even remember thinking the guy she cheated on me with, I was like, dude, thanks. She like saved me a lot of shit, because it was like, dude, better now than years down the road if I had kids with a fucking chick, like it could have been a lot worse. So it's just, it worked out. And then crazy enough, like my buddy Kyle, the only person I like really am friends with, spent a lot of time with from the military, from high school. My boy Kyle Pruitt hit me up. He's like, you want to go to Asia? So next thing you know, we went to Southeast Asia like that, just a couple months after that whole situation with her. And we flew to Hong Kong, and then I went to like Hong Kong, Vietnam.
How long were you there?
Like 3.5, 4 months, something like that.
3.5, 4 months?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
3.5, 4 months?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Because I did Hong Kong and then went to Vietnam for a little bit.
I thought you were about to say 3.5 to 4 weeks.
No. Cambodia for a little bit. And then I spent like over a month in Thailand, then went to Malaysia, Singapore, and then spent like a month in Bali.
Whoa. Yeah, I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, he had to leave after like 5 weeks. He had to get back to work, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna figure out how to stay, and just fucking stayed. And dude, and just traveled in hostels. Met my boy Troy out there. We traveled like after Kyle left. Troy and I like just traveled the rest of the trip together. He's from Connecticut, and still a good friend of mine. And but yeah, dude, that was just an insane trip. So that just opened up a whole new world. Like now here I am. Like I moved to Tennessee and started school, but then went backpack through Southeast Asia and stayed in hostels and met all these different kinds of people and just got this whole new worldview got to like understand a new culture, but also really appreciate, you know, the fact that they have a lesser than us, and yet they're a lot happier than us as Americans. And I think it's,
there's like a really mind shifting type of trip. Like this is like a really big,
dude. It was it was just because you're open up to a whole new world, whole new culture. You see what they have, you see what their conditions are, but like they're happy. You're just like it's just good vibes everywhere.
Now this may not be a thing that you can elaborate on because it may not connect the way that I'm thinking, but like spiritually, what was that like a trip that kind of opened you up spiritually as well?
I think it opened my mind and my heart a little bit more. Spiritually, I was still, still believed in Christ. But even then, prior to that, when I was in the military, like that last year, like I started like seeking the old gods that I now follow, right? But I just was very baseline knowledge, and I had a lot of fight there, like for a while, as far as like, am I Christian? But no, am I, do I believe in these things? Like there's this pull, right? But I kept fighting it because it was a fear thing. I was like, I'm scared to go another route because what if it sends me to hell, right?
But did seeing all these different cultures and stuff, was that something that maybe opened you up a little bit?
Yeah. And I got to go to like some really cool temples and stuff, especially in Bali. I got to go like like these really old temples and do this whole holy cleansing and everything. And like, right now, if I was to go back and do that, it'd be like a whole new experience. I didn't appreciate the way I would now just because of like my beliefs, but it was an awesome experience itself. Like, just practicing something that people have been doing for a very long fucking time. And so, it definitely, it did open my mind though. It showed me more. And I think maybe that did help guide me a little bit more. So yeah, dude, I did Asia. Dude, I could talk all day about that shit. There's a lot of crazy stories, but
wasn't you know who with you?
Oh no. There's like for like a week, out in Bali, but okay. Yeah,
but not like in the 3 to 4 months.
No. But yeah,
at some point that part of the story does have to come up because that's where we met.
Well, yeah, and then so and I'm not gonna bring up names or whatever, but yeah, I did acquire a friend, and wish him the best. But I did acquire a friend before I went out to Asia. That came out for like a week with a couple other people. One of them's a really good friend of mine still. One of them put a gun to my head at one point. So. There's that.
Yeah. There's that.
That's a whole other story for you. But yeah,
that
person had me staring down a fucking barrel of a judge for like 30 minutes. So
that period of time could be its own fucking episode.
Yeah. And so moving forward though, I got out and then I got an apartment with this guy. He owned a brand and he had a gym up in Hermitage. And so we got an apartment in Mount Juliet. He ended up getting a motorcycle. And then just things that got crazy, man. Like, I don't know. We had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was a wild time, but we also like, were just going too hard, like constantly getting in fights. I mean, I was banned from like 3 places in Mount Juliet. Just constantly like getting back into the drug culture, fucking with cocaine pretty often and, all that stuff. And I'm like, it was fun there for a while. It just got really exhausting too. And I was like, so I wanted to build a future still, I was like, man, I'm getting back in school. Like, just got back from Asia. I already had the time of my life. Like, and here I am now I'm partying more, and very recklessly too, hopping on motorcycles and shit. And then he got a bike, and then it just kind of like, we got involved with the whole motorcycle club world again. And that just got crazy. Things just got crazier from there. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I can't keep up. And there's so many stories from that little time frame. This was like 2017. And moving forward there, though, like I kind of just had to step away from it. I was like, listen, I'm just stepping away from this whole lifestyle.
Well, for the record,
but during this time when I was at that gym,
that exact year,
that's where I met Logan.
Yes, indeed. This would be, if we wanted to, this would be an interesting time to interweave these. But yeah, that's whenever we met. And the same individual that you're talking about I was employed by him at one point for a very short amount of time because I was going to train at that gym, which in a weird, ironic twist of fate was kind of like what opened me up into doing professional videography. So
yeah,
appreciate it.
It worked out.
It worked out. But Yeah, definitely crazy. Definitely a lot of crazy people involved in that. At that point, I got decently, not anywhere to the level that you were, but I got decently tied into it as well. I made videos with everybody in there.
Yeah. Trust me.
Every trainer, all the
glad
guys
you
that would come
avoided
in
a lot
there.
of it. But
I mean, literally, if I think about it, there's probably a dozen different guys. Anybody that was even associated with it, I made videos with, with. And then,
dude, it was a shit show. I mean,
it was pretty crazy, yeah.
I still got like some really close friends from that time, and we were all like, fuck.
I think I kind of sensed like with him, with that individual, I felt like he was trying to integrate me, and I like resisted pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like I was like, once I felt that, I was like, I don't think that's
You're
what
like,
I want to
I'm
do.
good. Yeah.
I don't think that's what I want to do. And then the business side of it fell apart pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then I moved gyms and et cetera. But point is that that's where our lines crossed, and I still have the freaking video that I shot on my cell phone. That was probably the first time I really ever had a conversation with you, more than likely.
Yeah. Fucking nuts, man.
Yeah,
it was a wild time.
Now we're sitting here 2023.
I still got the video. I know, right?
Like, what the fuck?
Thanks.
5 years,
journey, dude. Yeah, man. Fuck, I feel like I got to speed this up because I know we don't got too much time.
Like you said, if we go a little bit over, but
yeah,
around this time, we're kind of hitting the big spot here, anyway.
We're hitting some big stuff, yeah. So, this time I met my ex fiance. And so in this time, I just like, I needed a change in my life, right? I wanted to step away from that lifestyle.
So did you, I actually don't know. And again, without giving too many details, if you don't, but did you have to like, was that an issue for you stepping away from it? Or was it like a cold turkey?
I mean, there were some people that didn't like me because of it. And they were like, oh, you're not allowed around. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'll just ride my motorcycle by myself.
But was there like a breaking point where like you just were like, look, dude, I'm out of this. Don't contact me. Like, was it like a situation like that? Or was
I
it
was just like, hey, like, I'm just doing my own thing. Like, I'm focused on my future. I don't feel like partying or being involved with any of this. Like, I just want to fucking change my life. I'll still be out of this gym. I'll work here. I'll do my thing, but we're cool. But yeah, all the other stuff, I just don't want nothing to do with. I don't feel like partying every fucking night and all that. It's just like, I didn't need that. And I kind of recognized like some habits from my old self.
We're coming back.
Just in a like more wild way, but very, like that addictive, just getting hooked in, and I didn't want that, man. It felt like a black hole. And I needed more. And so I met a girl, and she was the complete opposite of that world, very buttoned up and well kept and stuff like that, and just kind of had her shit together. And I was like, oh, that's something good for me. Like that's something I need in my life, right? And so I started.
Which is probably true.
Yeah. I mean, but the problem is that like I met this person, and it was like subconsciously I made the choice to like try to become who they wanted me to be. So I tried to do this complete fucking
You like went the other way.
Yeah, dude. And I was focused on school, and like, I appreciate them, and like I ended up moving in with them, and spending a long time together, and it got crazy there because like I was trying my best, right? And then I was like, I'm gonna be this kind of man, and I was like really trying to get like back with the Christ hard and stuff like that. And I was thinking like re-gearing my career and like going to go business.
And this is
like
pre-accident, right?
Pre-accident. And I just realized like, and then things started changing. Like they wanted me to like stop doing this and stop doing that, or I shouldn't say this, shouldn't say that. And I was like, okay, there's a little too much change. Like maybe I'm not this kind of person that they want me to be. And I'm trying too hard for it. And so, I don't know. And then things just kind of started to crumble. I would entertain other things, like people, and let's just like talk. And it just, I don't know, like a worse side started coming out of me, right? I just was starting to be a little bit dishonest or have little white lies here and there. Those little things just started stacking up. And moving forward, it started stacking up over time, and like we started like to grow apart a little bit, and it just was because I just didn't feel myself trying to fit this fucking mold, but I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Like,
like suffocated.
Yeah. And then it's just like this opportunity arose actually to go. I met went to a metal show in Atlanta, and that's where I ran into Jake, and we were connected by somebody there that I'd met like a few years prior to that, like back in like 2016 at a metal show. So 2016, I met this dude at a metal show, and then met Jake at this concert in 2008, a couple years later in 2018. And, they were part of this crew and this pagan group. And he and I connected at school just a couple days later. We were walking across campus and we connected, and he was, we talked for a while, and he was telling me about everything they're into. And I was like, man, I've always felt kind of a calling towards that world, and those beliefs. I just I don't have much guidance and and I'm just really at odds with like my beliefs and my convictions and all that shit. Right. And so we got pretty close, and we'd hang out, and we talked, and he invited me out to this event. And of course, at the time, my ex was like, I don't want you going out there. Like that scares me. And I'm like, well,
I think it's pretty interesting context that kind of came about during that time, because I could imagine her already being that way. I bet that was super.
Well, yeah, because
she
was
was super resistant to that.
Well, it looked like the motorcycle club world, right? Like aesthetically, like
all over again.
Tattooed dudes in black and like out in the woods, but like it's a bunch of dudes out in the woods at the end of the day. And I just don't feel comfortable with you going out there. And I'm like, I'm a grown ass man. Like they're not gonna fucking cut me up. I don't know. It just didn't make much sense to me. I don't feel comfortable. And then finally I had the opportunity to go to this one event, right? At the end of 2018. So it was like September 2018, right? Crazy. This is the crazy stuff. So I'm unhappy there, but I'm like, listen, I'm going to this event. Like I got a ticket. I'm going to this event, riding my motorcycle out there. So September 2018, I brought it to this event, man. And moving forward, I was like, yeah,
you guys are getting a 2-hour episode with Joe. Hey.
Yeah, I know. So I'm trying to speed it up, and obviously I can always elaborate on more.
Patreon. Ask us some more questions.
Yeah, that's where you can go.
Something comes up while you're listening. Yeah. Send it through while you're listening. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So long story short, I went out to this event. I connected with some people through this world, this pagan wolf world, the wolf cult world on like social media and whatnot. And, met some pretty cool people, in particular, my boy Sean. Sean was on here.
Sean Hudson, yep.
Sean Hudson. And he was going to this event, and some other people I connected with. Shit. And so rode my motorcycle out to Virginia, showed up to this land. There's a bunch of people there, and I'm just like, I don't really know anybody. And I recognize a couple of faces from social media. And then, I pulled up my bike to the spot, and Sean was right there. And like, we met and for the first time, and we talked about this on the podcast with him, but like we were stuck at the hip, we were like fighting sparring partners, and, we just did all this stuff all weekend, yoga and freaking lifting weights and learning all kinds of fighting techniques. And, there's a big metal concert with the motorcycles lined up around the stage, and people fighting in there, awesome. And it was just crazy. And
every time I hear that, I just picture it, and I'm like, that just sounds like it's
fucking gnarly. There's a picture somewhere. I can find some pictures, but it was so fucking rad, man. And it was one of the best times of my life. And there's a big ritual there though, and we learned a lot about the gods and like different aspects of it. And man, we did this big ritual, and I was like, this is what I am. Like I just knew, I could feel it in my heart and my soul. I was like, this is my calling, this is my path to follow. And like right there, I was just like, this is it for me. And long story short, I get home. She didn't really care to hear much about it. Like it was just all like, I think everything she didn't want, and like, and that's when things just started to drift away, because like I'm on this path, I'm finding who I am, like in the midst of this relationship. And I think that was because I was trying so hard to be something else, but I was like, well, no, I got to find who I am. She
was threatened by the independence you were finding.
Yeah, I was very lost, I think, but before I met her, I was very lost in a whole other world. And then I met her and I became more lost. And like, I was like, who the fuck am I, And then I really started to find myself spiritually. And when I started to do that, I discovered so much more about myself in so many fucking ways. And that's when I really started to care about the man I was, and like really hone in on that. And so about a month after that, I went to a book signing event for the book modeling stuff. And then that I do. And then that was at the very beginning. That was like, almost mid-October. And then I get back from that event. And then 4 days later, it's crazy. Motorcycle wreck. This is like what started Relentless Pursuit, right? So
It's interesting to note, just for like context on you and like your situation at the time too, though, that like these were thoughts that were going and things that were going on before this happened, because I think it makes it like immensely more difficult for you to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And so I get to, I'm in class MTSU. This day it was like pretty chilly that morning. It was like in the 40s, right? So I had to ride I was riding my motorcycle, and I remember taking a picture. She had just gone on a girls trip, and then and so I had a couple buddies, Kyle and Troy, actually. Kyle that from high school that I went to Asia with, and Troy also that I met in Asia. So they were coming to visit me for the weekend, and they were flying in that night. And so I took a picture of my bike on the driveway with the temperature, and I was like, this is a bad idea. Well, rode my motorcycle to school, and got out of class early, and went cruising around town. And I was on Kaysen Lane over there by Kaysen Academy, and I come up on this light right next to the academy, and the one day I'm going the fucking speed limit, and I'm just cruising through. I had these big apes on, and I look over about 30 feet to the left of me, and I see a car, and I just said, "Fuck." And immediately my brain just shut off. And what had happened was we hit corner to corner. I fishtailed into the side of the car, went to the windshield, and got launched. They measured it to be exactly 90 feet. So I threw 90 feet through the air, landed in a field. I woke up, saw my femur sticking out of my left leg, and I just laid my head back down. I was just like, fuck, man. And this cop runs up. He's like, hey, man, you've been in a bad accident. And, of course, I'm thinking, no shit. Yeah, it was a pretty bad accident. And, man, it was so crazy. It's so vivid because it's like it's like I was in a movie scene, or I was dreaming. It didn't feel like it was real. I didn't feel any pain. It was just this crazy scene unfolding next to me, but I'm just laying there just like, what's going on, And I know whatever's going on, it's not good. I mean, clearly my bone's sticking out of my left leg.
Do you have like the ringing in your ears? Like,
no.
Nowhere near the same.
Just people running around. I remember there's a lot of chaos around me, but I was told to like keep my head still, right? And so, and he's asking me questions, and then he comes up, he's like, hey man, a life flight's on the way. And I'm like, okay. I'm thinking life flight, like that's pretty rare. And so, long story short, I'm just kind of like, trying to be comical about it. They load me on the life flight, and I'm like, hey, am I going to die or something like that? They're like, so we're going to try to keep that from happening. And dude, it's just like, man, then I was like, this is fucking real. Like might die. And they load me up on the helicopter, and I just remember like taking off and just closing my eyes and just fucking being like, Joe, just don't fucking go, man. Like I started thinking about my mom, my sister, my niece, my dad, and just those people I love very much. And I was just like, dude, you need to be here. You need to fucking be here. And I just kept thinking like, don't go. You got this shit. And I had this little vision. And then next thing you know, I wake up in the hospital at Vanderbilt. And I remember my mom and sister and stuff being there. And I'm hooked up to all kinds of shit. Long story short, like the doctors all start trickling in. They're like, you should be dead, man. What the fuck? And come to find out they started listing all my injuries, which is nuts. So I had TBI.
So was this like the first time that you woke up and they were giving you the overview of what?
Yeah, pretty much something along that. I mean, I was like hooked up to a lot of drugs too. So,
but this is like the first update with the doctor that you remember, basically.
Yeah. I was with the orthopedic surgeon and the other surgeons and shit. And so what had happened was I had a TBI in the back of my head. I had an aortic,
which is
traumatic brain injury.
So your brain was bleeding.
Yeah, but it was pretty minor. The TBI was minor because they think I landed like feet first. That's why.
Which is why your leg was fucked.
Yeah, well, no, the leg was fucked from the car, but my feet and ankles got completely crushed.
So
I probably
the TBI is
my boots flew off too. So like I landed feet like on my fucking feet, 90 feet. yeah. So
that's kind of unlucky.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, not that whole situation wasn't, but like, what the fuck?
It was.
But yeah, anyways, good.
It is what it is. But So I had
TBI,
traumatic brain injury. I had an aortic aneurysm, which is where basically my descending aorta was like pretty much ripped open and bleeding. That was collapsed. That was bleeding into my right lung, which was collapsed. I lacerated like 6 organs. I remember my adrenal gland, kidney, liver, spleen, a couple more. I broke my 3 ribs, broke my hip in 3 places, left femur. Was sticking out of my leg, broke my right knee, my tibia, fibula, both my ankles are crushed, both of my
baby, buggy bumpers.
fucking shit. Both of my ankles were crushed, my feet were crushed, and all my toes were broken. And then on top of that, I had like a stab wound in my groin, like probably a fucking ½ inch below my nutsack. That I lost like 3 pints of blood out of. We don't know what it came from. Something like from the car I'm pretty sure like got me, like just fucking punctured my leg. So,
which was like ironically one of the worst injuries, right?
I mean, yeah, like, I lost a lot of blood there.
Blood,
and then like, that's honestly like the injury I noticed the most. Cause like the nerve damage in my right leg and my hamstring and glute and whatnot. But, yeah, and they were pretty worried about that, but yeah, so I had a lot of shit go down and,
so what's the rehab process? One thing that I have been curious about too is like whenever you have that, now I can't fucking talk. You did it to me. That severe of a list of injuries sustained. Like I've been in rooms like that whenever somebody is, got a lot of shit going on, and it's like you got to prioritize. And like usually when people pass, it's like the puzzle pieces just don't fit. It's like this thing is not allowing this thing to do this thing, and if we fix this, it's going to hurt this, and if there's just nothing we can do type thing. So like for you, what was like the puzzle? Like what did they have to hit first? What did you hit first in rehab? What were they most worried about? That kind
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'd imagine there's probably a couple people working at once because they probably had to like keep this fucking wound from bleeding on my leg, but like I had an aneurysm, so. I think between that and the collapsed lung were like the priorities. I think it was obviously putting a graft on the aorta was number one, I'd imagine, that along with like the leg. I don't know how that fucking works. I can only imagine being a fly on the fucking wall.
So at this time when you woke up, were you basically out of the woods as far as dying?
Yeah. Okay, I mean, they had fucking fixed everything up as they needed to be.
So from there, it's rehab.
Well, yeah, they said to monitor me for like 10 days or so, and then they put me in rehab. And the crazy thing is too, and I always try to like point this out, is like, I'm very fortunate to have been blessed with the mindset that I did, because I never ever was like, feel sorry for myself or this sucks. I was immediately like, we're going to fucking rock this shit. I came to like, don't get me wrong. There's some hard times in the hospital and I wish I could go into more detail, and I think that was just more so like the very humbling aspects of like having to get my ass wiped by my mom and shit, And so there was some tough stuff, but at the end of the day, I was just like, yo, this was meant to be. Like, this is my story. This is what's going to like, I'm using this. I don't know how, but I'm using this whole experience as an opportunity.
I've asked you this before, but do you think, it's definitely not a coincidence, but how big of a role do you think that it played that you had just gotten into your new spirituality around that time?
Oh yeah, I think
think about that happened 6 months before and you hadn't even heard of that stuff yet.
I think about all the people that I'd heard about the stuff, and I'd already had like quite a bit of like knowledge, pretty heavy knowledge base on it. It's just like I was practicing it,
right?
And it was
fucking camera died.
Fuck it. Well, now
okay, go ahead.
Now it's like a significant part of my life, right? And so that played a massive impact. And then thinking about the individuals and the people that like kind of live that life, and like I had to uphold an example, there was a lot. Yeah, I think that played a massive part in like the mindset with it. In this situation, it was fate. Like I think had I not got hit on my bike, I think something similar would have happened in some other fashion. Like it was unavoidable. It was meant to happen. And I think it was ultimately a blessing to happen to me. And at least something within me that needed to be unlocked, and it wasn't going to be unlocked any other way except through like something fucking tragic. So I took that, I ran with it. I blasted through recovery, went through rehab, had to learn how to like get over to like the sink and brush my teeth, and scoot over to like a bedside toilet, because I had to go home and, be bedbound for over a month or so, like a month and a half or so, until like my ankles at least healed. And so I got back and went through recovery, just did what I could to keep my mind strong. And during that process, that was pretty grueling too, just because like, you start getting like, your legs like wanting to fucking move, but they're strapped up, so you can't really do a whole lot. So you're just trying to just keep your mind as busy as possible there for that time. And moving forward, eventually I worked through I started doing PT eventually, and I could finally start walking again. So I had to learn how to walk and get up on crutches. And when I got on the crutches, dude, it was like a newborn fucking deer walking. I was just like, oh God, it was insane. Learning how to walk again,
So learning to walk from scratch. Was there other similar things like that too that you just were totally not able to do at that point? Or was it mostly the walking and then running too? I guess. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I still can't run normal. But yeah, I think just my legs atrophied so much, I lost so much weight that it really was just getting the legs back to being somewhat normal, right? And so I got up on crutches and I started going to physical therapy. And school. Got back into school that January, into January. So I was crutching myself to class and started plugging away with school. At the time I wanted to be a physical therapist, but shortly after I was like, no, that's not my path. And and on top of doing a lot of physical therapy, I did 50 PT sessions, right? They just shut off again. Fucking shit. So all the PT I was doing, and I just stayed really on top of all my stuff with my recovery. And if you have some similar injuries, do the PT, don't be in a butt, do the physical therapy, because you're going to regret it if you don't, because that was a massive part of the comeback. Right. So started school. And then it just was I was like, dude, screw that. I don't want to go to school for 4 more years. I want to start my own thing. And I started, I was like, I'm going to start a brand, a mindset brand. I'm going to use this story to start a company. And I had wanted Pursuit Fitness. It was Pursuit this, Pursuit that. And my mom had mentioned Relentless Pursuit. And I was like, that just stuck. Got that trademarked, kept it at Relentless Pursuit, kept moving forward. I don't got much time, man. I feel like there's still so much more to cover. How much time do you think I got?
I mean, you got 15 minutes.
All right, let's plug it in. So this last segment is going to be a little bit rushed, but we can always revisit it at some point. Kept moving forward, in school with my recovery, building the brand's name, trademarking it, that process, the logo. I explained the logo several times. And then.
But if they don't know.
But if you don't know, the logo is a wolf Ouroboros, right? So I wanted a wolf in there. Wolves are always in pursuit. The Ouroboros is usually a serpent. Can't really see it on here, but it's usually depicted by a serpent swallowing or biting its tail.
You can see
it
that
represents something infinite, something whole. So I tied the two in together to create a wolf Ouroboros to represent an infinite pursuit, right? And so that logo just means a lot to me, and I think that's just life in general, that relentless pursuit, that never-ending pursuit, towards everything in your life. There's no stopping point. You just keep going and doing the best you can in whatever avenues. But yeah, I can get into that anytime. But so got the logo and did all the trademarking and all that stuff, and then moving forward, I got my first launch in the beginning of 2020. Went to Chile, went trekking through Patagonia, Chile for a week. During that time, this crazy sickness that was supposed to wipe out
you may have heard of it.
Yeah, it's supposed to wipe out 10 billion people. Came and took over, and so I just got into back to some little.
It starts with a C and it ends with a D.
Oh yeah, that thing. Anyways, this thing was serious, dude. It was wiping. It was taking over the world. And I was just got back from hiking these mountains for 5 days, and I was got to this town. I checked my phone. I was like, oh my God, shit's going down at home.
Yeah, because if you remember, it really went like that. It was overnight.
Yeah, so got back to the States. Everybody's freaking the fuck out. I had a bunch of shirts I had to sell, so I started pushing the brand. And, it didn't sell how I'd hoped. I still, it took me a long time to sell that order. And
if you're still listening to this right now, go to the Relentless Pursuit Instagram and go to the very, very bottom of the video tab. And the first video is Joe and I doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Explaining the brand when he first launched it.
Yeah.
True story.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't ever take that post down. I will kill you.
I never will. But, so started selling apparel, did a podcast with Logan around that time. Started working on some content with him. things got better. When I got back from the trip, though, like I had a harsh talk in my relationship. I was just like, man, I'm not happy. I'm not fucking happy. Like I'm 1 foot out the door. And of course, again, it was like, oh, things are going to be better. Like we're going to work this out. Okay. Stayed put. Trust me. I knew like before the accident, like it was time to go. And then, but because of that, the accident, I think it kept me locked in for a lot longer than I should have. And I just knew. And so wasn't happy. Long story short, got back from that trip. And shortly after, things got better because we had that talk and ended up buying a house with this person, investing a lot of money into that, investing a lot of money into a car and like savings and trips and all the shit. And
if you watch the first 5 episodes of this podcast, they're from your home gym at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why we were changing settings at the time quite a bit. There's a story to that if you were paying attention then.
Yeah. And in that time frame, so I'm in this relationship, not happy. I'm bearing a lot of feelings in. I'm recognizing a lot of like shit that's fucked up. And I'm just like, fuck. But this is like around that time frame, like getting the house, like things were good. But I had this doubt when I get doing the house thing. I was like, fuck, dude, is this a good idea? And I was like, let's just go with it, Joe. And fucking went with it, ended up proposing not too long after. And in the midst of this, I'm still getting together with the guys in the woods. I'm still going out to Virginia a lot and connecting with these people. And I'm going and set up events for the brand, selling the shirts. And like, I got a team assembled. I'm hooking them up with gear and free shit and paying for stuff because guess what? A lot of those people still aren't here, but it's because I can't pay for their shit. And, they show their true colors. And I know you're out there and I hope you hear this, but you're terrible. And I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
I mean, listen, if they're watching 2 hours into this, and there's some serious haters.
Oh yeah, and if they're watching, then like, keep watching.
But that's what I'm saying is like, how they say that like, oh, they're always like your haters are always watching. It's like, dude, if you're 2 hours into this, then you love us.
Yeah, me a lot.
You love us.
Yeah, but you know what? Fuck off.
They say that jealousy is just love and hate at the same time.
I just hate them. But
no, I'm saying they're jealous.
Oh yeah,
those people being jealous is a mix of love and hate.
I think of one particular too. Anyways, we'll get to all this stuff at another point.
On God, I challenge you.
Yeah, but I'm crunching in a lot in this time, guys. So moving forward, this is in the midst. I'm still doing all this stuff, and I'm very detached from my relationship. I'm engaged. I'm doing wolf stuff with my bros. I'm living like a couple different lives. I'm running the brand, doing the best I can and keeping a mask on, happy doing it. And then, long story short, man, that got called off. So brand's growing well, but I'm at this point where like, I'm really close to this wedding and I'm like, fuck me, dude. This ain't right. Like this ain't change. We're right back to square one where we were before. I'm miserable. I'm fucking miserable with my life.
It's like a clock just ticking.
This person's like so unaware with it, but like, yeah, dude, I'm ready to fucking blow my brains out. Like I wouldn't do that, but like, dude, part of me felt that way. Like I was just like, fuck, dude. Like I just want to get out. And I'm just so fucking unhappy. And then it just really started to wear on me. I was like, this ain't cold feet. This is like, dude, why the fuck did I ride this out for so long? And had some pretty serious talks with some friends, and pretty much they like, this is a lot crazy crammed into the story, but you had said something about like having the balls to call it off. And I was actually posed this question on the podcast I just did with Nashville Fit Magazine. And I was honest about this, I didn't have the balls to call that off. I don't think I did, because I had posed this whole situation to a couple really close friends, and they're like, Joe, you got to set a date to talk it off. So it was a Friday, right? And it was a week before everything crashed down. And they were like, you got to set a date. And I was like, well, next week and her parents are going to be in town. So that following Monday, like I'm having this talk. Like it's over. They're like, I'm holding you to it. And I'm like, all right, well, I tried to help myself through this fucking thing before, and I didn't follow through because, it's going to be better. We're going to fix it. Well, moving forward, I was going to have this talk. And the week prior to that, I met this waitress, and I was like, oh, she's really pretty. And then I was meeting another friend for a couple beers, and he was like, dude, this isn't going to fix it. Like a ring's not going to fix it. And he's got a beautiful marriage. Well, he left I went to the restroom and I saw that waitress there. And I went up, sat next to her at her table. I was like, hey, you mind if I get you a drink? She's like, yeah, go ahead. And she's like, because she had come up right prior to that while he was there. She's like, hey, I remember you, you know? And so I sat with her, got us beers, and I was like, what do you do? She's like, I'm in school to be a therapist. And I'm like, I need a fucking therapist. So talk to me. So she talked to me. I poured out, dude, everything. Because I didn't have communication at home. I just needed somebody that didn't know me to share this with. And we had some beers. I shared, my whole story. And this girl, I mean, it was awesome. I really needed it. And you exchange information. I texted her, thank you. I was like, hey, let's get coffee Thursday. And we got coffee and just kept kind of pouring my heart out to her. But it was just like this person was there for me. And I don't know, it was a female that didn't know me. And I just felt comfortable there.
Well, that's one of the big things about therapy that's helpful is that it's a person that's unbiased and doesn't know you. That's what I tell people all the time. It's like that person doesn't know you. That's important.
And honestly, there was a certain level of attraction there, because she's not a fucking therapist.
You felt like a freedom.
But I felt I was like, holy shit, because at home, I'm not getting listened to. It's just there's no communication. It's fucking terrible. And this person gives a shit, or seems like they do. And so I straight up, and that's all it was. Thanks for talking to me. Looking forward to it next time. Nothing past that in text message, right? Long story short, that Saturday morning, I head out to the woods with my boys. Jesse's actually with me. I open up my phone. I got a fucking screenshot of my iPad that's up in my work box of that text message thread from my ex. I'm just like, fuck. And then it's just this long night. I still was out in the woods because their parents were there. And then Sunday, man, it just took me fucking forever to get home. I drove around in circles. It was over, and I get home and it's just this dark, dark, dark aura. And it just felt terrible, man. And we basically just sat there and talked and cried and we're like, it's over, And it was just this crazy thing. And, thinking back on it, people can make all the assumptions they want, that's the story. But I look back on it and I even tried to hang out with this girl after. And dude, she just ended up ghosting me. And I was like, fuck, who do you think you are? You don't know when ghost me. No, I had a little bit of ego. I was like, this chick's ghosting me. But the long story short, I was like, dude, this chick was a catalyst. Had that not occurred.
Yeah, she just came into your life right when she needed.
Had that not occurred, I probably would have got talked right back into it after this talk I was going to have. And I'd be married with maybe kids with somebody that I wasn't supposed to be with. So thank you for being that catalyst and causing that, because it was necessary, truly. And so it's not about balls. It's just about dude, fucking shit's going to happen how it needs to happen. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, moving forward, I lost a lot of shit, lost a lot of fucking money. I moved down to Murfreesboro. Got really depressed, was drinking all the time, hanging out with different chicks, just was rarely lost. And I was like, this isn't Relentless Pursuit. What the fuck am I doing? And then I met my woman, Lydia, February last year. From that day forward, I was like, I want to be a man of honor. I want to have a life with this person. This person makes me want to be all of me, because I told them exactly who I was. I put it all out there from day one, and they love me. And but I want to be the best version of myself. And from that day forward, I made that decision. And shortly after, 6 months later, we're engaged. Within that time frame, I got moved RP into RPHQ. We're a year here at RPHQ. We've recorded 50 something episodes of the podcast. Got the apparel. Got the gym where I personal train at. Got a couple recovery guys that are the best. And
got the Patreon.
But in that time, we got engaged, and then a month after that, found out we were having a little girl. And then this April, we had my perfect, beautiful gift little daughter, Ozzy. And so, yeah, it's a lot to cram in there.
Crazy train.
I know. I want to talk more about them, but at the end of the day, this just this crazy path of ups and downs and heartbreak and this and that to lead me to where I'm at today, dude. And I look around and I've got the woman of my dreams. I've got this most perfect little girl that's a dream come true, because I've always wanted a little girl, and she's everything I could ever imagine and more. I've got this circle of people that really fucking matter, that are part of this business and everything. like I get to pursue what I love more than anything. Yeah, it's financially draining and it takes a lot of fucking time, but like it's so rewarding at the same time. And that's the thing, dude. And we're still at the beginning, man. So there's a lot to do, a lot to accomplish. There's so many more points to hit on there. But we got to finish this and close out.
Yeah, well, I will say real quick too, though, like with all of this and noticing how we're kind of having to cram something in at the end, if this prompted questions and topics for the Patreon, please do so. This is going to be going on the regular platform as well, but you'll be hearing this, 3 weeks or a month before on Patreon.
Yeah.
And and the next episode we'll do it with me, but in general, you have more questions for Joe about any of this.
Yeah, thank you.
Feel free.
Thank you guys for, hopefully you tuned into this whole thing. There's a lot of things
you got 1 minute.
A lot of things I wanted to say in there, but I'm glad I was able to get like to where we're at now.
That's awesome. So, for the next little bit, we can direct people to this episode.
Yeah. So check it out. Thank you all for being here, and let's keep rolling this fucking charge through and make this thing massive. So
hey, you're the man, and before we go, I hope you know all the impact that you're making. I hope that it is rewarding because you're changing the world in your own little way, that's all we can do.
That's the goal.
I think it's awesome. So
hell yeah, love you, dude.
brother. Oh, there we go.
Hey, thanks for coming.
See ya.